Hello, Adrian Botham here from How to Invest in Shares. I hope you're well. The subject of today's video is one that is a common problem for those of you that are starting out investing in shares for the first time. And that is, how much money should I invest in each share that I buy? Well, if this is a problem for you, there are two different things that you need to consider. The first of those things is the transaction costs, in other words the costs of buying and selling your shares. And the second thing is how much money in total are you looking to invest in shares at this point in time. So let's look at the first of those two things, namely the transaction costs. Well, if you're buying your shares online, as most private investors do these days, I certainly do, then in the UK it will cost you around the £10 mark to buy or to sell shares. It may cost a few pounds more, it may cost a few pounds less, it depends on the broker you choose, but let's say it costs us £10. It certainly makes the mathematics easy for the next bit. And in the United States it's cheaper, so it costs us $10, but you can get it for less, $7, $8, $9. Let's keep it at 10 for now, it makes life a lot easier in the next bit. So let's assume it costs us $10 to buy and $10 to sell our shares. And let's assume that we're going to buy $1,000 of shares in a particular company. So it costs us $10 to buy $1,000 of shares. Now, as a percentage, that cost is 1%. But let's not forget that we've got to sell these shares at some point as well in order to realise our gains on those shares. So that's another $10 to sell. So in total, the cost of buying and selling our shares during our period of ownership of them is 2% of the $1,000. Now, that means that if our shares don't go up in value, say they stay the same through our period of ownership, then we've actually lost money on this particular transaction, on this deal, because our shares needed to rise 2% in order to pay us back the cost of buying and selling. And this is important, because if we'd only invested $500 in those shares, it would still have cost us $10 to buy and $10 to sell. But that would now represent 4% of the value of the shares that we owned. So the shares would have needed to rise 4% in order to break even and pay us back our transaction costs. So in other words, the more money you can invest into each share, the lower your transaction costs will be as a percentage of your investment. And therefore, the less your shares need to rise for you to break even on your costs and start to really make some money. Now let's take a look at the second of those two things, the amount of money that you're looking to invest. Let's assume that we've got $10,000 in total to invest. Now, as we've just learnt in the first bit of this video, if we put all that $10,000 into one share, it will cost us $10 to buy and $10 to sell, a total of $20 again, but that now only represents 0.2% of the value of our investment. So that sounds fantastic compared to only investing, say, $500. But the problem now is we've got all our eggs in one basket. If there were to be a problem on this particular company causing the share price to fall, say there was a profit warning or something, then say that share fell by 20% overnight or the next day of trading. If we had all our money, the $10,000, in the one share that had the problem, we now lose $2,000, 20% of our investment. So if you're lucky enough to have $10,000, I would suggest that you are far better off from a risk management and portfolio management point of view to have your $10,000 invested in 10 different shares of $1,000 each. That's because if you now get a problem in one of your 10 companies, and we lost 20% of the value of it, we'd only lose $200, not $2,000. So from a risk management point of view, the more shares we have in our portfolio, the more different companies we're invested in, the lower the risk of our total investment. So when it comes to deciding how much money to invest in a given share, it's about striking a balance between the cost of the transactions of buying and selling and the management of the risk from the number of shares in the portfolio. So that's it for today. I hope that's been useful. I'm Adrian Botham from How to Invest in Shares. Check out the rest of my videos and the rest of my website at howtoinvestinshares.co.uk, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye for now.